As he does every Sunday night, Julian Council from Locked On Panthers joins us. Julian, Carolina's now lost 10 of 12 after the 3-0 start. They are on course, certainly, for a 5-12 finish. And starting Tuesday, teams can now interview assistants from other teams. That's new this year, so we might see some early firings. Will Matt Rhule be among them?
Well, Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, which is owned by NBC, was on Football Night in America earlier today here on this exact same channel on WCNC, and he was saying that the Carolina Panthers and Matt Rhule were a team to look out for on Monday. As you mentioned, they can start out for the first time ever in league history interviewing assistants from other teams starting on Tuesday. I don't believe that's going to be the case. You go back to the report that Jason Lockenfor of CBS Sports put out on Sunday. Also, the reporting of Jonathan Jones, formerly of the Charlotte Observer, and of the same publication as Lockenfor at CBS Sports, has reiterated time and time again the Carolina Panthers are not going to make a move. Joe Person said of The Athletic, last I heard of Carolina Blitz, there's plenty of reporters out there locally and in the national media who have pointed that Matt Rhule will likely get a third season here in Carolina. Should he? I know a lot of fans don't believe so. A 5-12 season after a 5-11 season does not necessarily on paper show you a lot of progress. I do believe the defense has gotten better. Yes, over the last couple weeks, they have regressed. I think the total of snaps they played throughout the season and also the injuries, particularly at cornerback, have hurt them over the last couple weeks. The offensive line is a problem. The quarterback position is a problem. Kicker seemingly was fixed before Zane Gonzalez went down with a quad injury. So we've seen Matt Rhule be able to change things up and fix a side of the ball in one offseason. And the hope is this offseason that he can do the same when it comes to the quarterback position and, of course, the offensive line. Will he get the opportunity to do that? I don't know. David Tepper did say that Matt Rhule is a program builder. If that was the case back in January 2020, that should still be the case even after a poor start to the season at 5-10 and likely to finish off 5-12. So I believe Matt Rhule will get a third year. And really the only person's opinion at this time that matters is David Tepper. If he believes he should get a third year, then Matt Rhule will get a third year. Will things change in Carolina? To be determined.
Yeah, you know, Rhule was speaking quite globally after the Tampa Bay game. He doesn't often do that. And I think, you know, he probably knows his boss is listening. And he said, the process is working. You might not be able to see it right now, but it is working. What percentage of Rhule's confidence that he'll get it done do you match?
Well, he's at 100%. He's at 100,000%. I'm definitely not at 100,000%. I would give it, I guess, let's just say 40%, that maybe Matt Rhule gets it done. And that's probably pretty high. I've said this to you before, just based out of principle. I feel like NFL coaches should at least get 3 years. College coaches get about 4 or 5 years to come in, implement their style, change things around. Now, the NFL is a little bit different. You have the draft every year. You also are on a level playing field. You have free agency, so it can be quicker to turn things around, which is why I mentioned the third year. And he brought up the whole Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith standing alone in the Bel-Air house living room.
There were some analogies made. There were some analogies made today.
I'm like, okay, it's like, okay, cool, Matt. I love that show too. I'm not looking forward to the reboot that they're about to do, which is, I don't understand that. Okay, that's not the point. But that was the last scene of the show. There was no rebuild that followed. There was not building. So I don't really understand why he brings that up. He made a conscious decision to let Greg Olsen leave and to allow Cam Newton to seek a trade. They didn't have to tear everything down to the studs and have to ask young players like Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin to be massive players and leaders of this team moving forward. They didn't have to do all of that. Christian McCaffrey being injured has certainly not helped things. And the Jay-Z reference, it took 7 years before Jay-Z, became an overnight success. You don't get 7 years in the NFL. And I get where Matt Rhule is coming from and trying to just tell people, hey, be patient. I've also preached the same patience. The thing is, you need to start seeing results. And year 1, 5-11, so be it. But to go out, get rid of Teddy Bridgewater, bring in Sam Darnold, and the offensive line still not improved, and you're going to look at a 5-12 record, which is going to be worse percentage-wise than what they had last season. It's hard for fans to sit here, and also just media and everybody else as we evaluate it, to sit here and think that a ton of things have changed. So it's funny, the things that he brought up, but also at times don't think he understands what he's saying. Like you said, like I-85, our offensive line is always under construction. He didn't realize that I-85 has been under construction my entire life, and I'm almost 30.
Yeah, we'll see if Matt Rhule gets the DJ Jazzy Jeff treatment out of that house in Bel Air in a couple days. Meanwhile, Cam's post-game comments, Julian, they sounded a bit like a retirement presser. He didn't go that far, but to me it sure sounded like a guy who's not going to be playing any games at Bank of America Stadium as a Panther again. What do you think? Yeah,
no, I agree. He did say, as you were there listening to it, that he was not talking about he was going to retire. Didn't want to sound like that, but he certainly was looking back on his career here in Carolina and all the good things that have happened, all the bad things, and just how much this organization means to him, which it's tough to watch as someone who grew up here watching this team and seeing what Cam has done for the city and for the organization and putting them on the map when he first came here in 2011. And it stinks to see how things have gone with Cam 2.0 and the return and him not being able to get a win as a starter for this team since 2018, excuse me. And that's unfortunate. Like, I don't think that there's going to be a future here in Carolina for Cam Newton. Unfortunately, I think he understands it as well. Maybe he doesn't want to sit here and talk about, hey, this is the last time I'm going to be here. But he talked about just, the relationships that he had with players like Greg Olsen and his son TJ, who banged to keep pounding drum on Sunday, and also talked about Charles Johnson and Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis and those guys who came before him and who knew what keep pounding meant. And he knows what it means to this organization, this city, and how to win. And just the challenge that he's had the last couple of weeks have just not gone the way that he had hoped. He understood it was difficult for him to step in, but it certainly feels like this is going to be the last time we see Cam Newton in a home uniform, at least on the field. One day we will see Cam go up there into the Ring of Honor and to be given the flowers that he's so desperately, or not deservedly deserves here. Deservedly deserves, what am I saying? That he definitely deserves here in Charlotte. And people who didn't appreciate Cam certainly should appreciate him now, as they've seen how the quarterback position has gone to waste here the last couple of seasons as he's been injured, and they've had guys like Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, Will Grier, and PJ Walker get opportunities and just not live up to what at least fans might hope that they could be as a potential replacement for Cam. So it's unfortunate to see things how they've gone. But yeah, we probably have seen the last of Cam Newton in Charlotte, and maybe we'll see the last of Cam Newton here in the last couple of weeks too.
Yeah, there is another quarterback in this two-quarterback system, Julian. Sam Darnold, the only quarterback under contract for this team next year. I don't think his value could depreciate. I don't think he could be any worse than he was the handful of games before he got injured. But what can the Panthers do if his value somehow increases just a little bit over the next 2 games? What kind of value does that give them?
Sam Darnold's untradeable, in my opinion. $18.858 million against the cap next year. He's getting it no matter what. If they cut him, it's on the cap. If they trade him, the other team has to deal with it, and the Panthers might have to do what Cleveland and Houston did a couple years ago with Brock Osweiler when the Texans sent him over to Cleveland for an old NBA salary dump. And they also had to give away assets. You saw what the Rams did by getting rid of Jared Goff and getting Matt Stafford. They had to give up a first-round pick. The Carolina Panthers don't have the assets to do that. They gave away a second-round pick to bring in Sam Darnold. They gave away a third-round pick to bring in C.J. Henderson, who had an awful game today. So it's not going to be easy at all. And I don't know what team out there is going to be a sucker to want Sam Darnold to be their quarterback next season, or even a backup. For the Carolina Panthers, like, you can keep Sam as a backup, expensive, at least for a couple weeks that maybe you can win with him. But over the course of the season, he's proven through 4 seasons that he's just not a starting caliber player in the NFL. I just don't know what team was dumb enough to trade for Sam Darnold. The only team that was dumb enough to trade for him this past offseason was the Carolina Panthers, and we've all seen how that went. I hate to be harsh. Sam seems like a nice guy. Just he hasn't gotten it done. He always talks about, I got to do my job better. Well, he's missed opportunities, hasn't done his job better. He hasn't executed. We've heard the same things over and over and over and over again through this season in the first 3 years. He just doesn't have the goods, the juice, and I don't see any team wanting to take on that salary and that problem that it brings when you have Sam Darnold as your quarterback, whether that's a backup or a starter.
Julian, we're out of time. We didn't get to the overwhelmingly positive news of the day, that it was a beautiful day in Charlotte, but not so much for the football team yet again. Julian, thanks for joining us. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, folks. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And hopefully we'll have better things in Carolina when it comes to the Panthers in 2022. But, maybe not.
All right. Thank you.